Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm using my laptop camera today because my phone is a little bit out of sorts right now, and so I apologize for the very grainy look of it, but here we are. Okay, so if you're new here, I talk about healing and subconscious programming, and as well as trying to navigate all that with learning that I am autistic and all of that stuff and sharing. So today's topic, also, if you can like and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. So today's topic is about anxiety and how I overcame my anxiety. And I'm not here to give anyone any medical advice, and that you should follow, the advice of your, just a disclaimer of your, I'm not a medical professional. You should definitely see, your own medical professionals and use you know, your own judgment on everything, and I am not giving anyone any medical advice. I'm sharing my own experience. And so let's begin. Okay, so I want to start by saying, when I talk about all of these things and the things that I do to help me, these are all things that help to alleviate some of the some of the symptoms, some of the things that happen, unfortunately, because I am autistic, and none of these things are cures or remedies for autism, and we will have none of that conversation in the comments here. I will shut it down immediately. There's nothing wrong with me, and it's not something that needs to be cured. So let me just start by saying that, because even though I'm very holistic and all that stuff, I just want to say that right now. Okay, so many years ago, I'd say about 12 years ago, um, I had panic attacks. Like when I was younger, there was a period of time where I had them, and there was something occurring in my life that was very overwhelming, and I started having panic attacks. And I took medication, it went away, and it was fine. But then, about 12 years ago, when I was in my chair's broken and it keeps sliding down, and it's going to keep sliding down. Okay. So 12 years ago or so, I started having, I think it was more than that, really bad panic attacks that would last for hours and hours. And so, okay, my chair is very low. I apologize. Let's see if I can fix this here. It went all the way to the lowest. I don't know. Okay. So my panic attacks were horrible. They would last for hours. They would last. I would just start. They would. It got to a point where I started getting them, daily. And this was when I was in my abusive relationship, and it wasn't a good feeling. And so I went to the doctor, and the doctor prescribed medication for me. And I don't recall what it was, but there were things like, it's like medications, like kind of like an Ativan type of stuff. And I think there was something else, I don't remember. And then I had to wait to see a psychiatrist, which, there's a long wait list to see mental health professionals that are covered by OHIP. I live in Ontario. Our health care is covered. However, when you want to see these specialized doctors and, physicians, etc., there is a very long wait time. So I waited for, I think, 6 months, and finally I saw him, and it was not a good experience. It was very cold and disconnected and detached. It just was like analyzing me. And then I was diagnosed with panic disorder. And so I was taking medications. They sort of helped a bit, but then I was finding that I would have to increase my dose, and that my anxiety was just getting worse and worse. Now, I was someone who wasn't into taking medications because of various reasons, and it wasn't working for me. And this is why I opted to not take medications anymore for all of those things, and why I decided to go see a naturopath. Now, as I'm saying this, if you are someone who relies on medication and you prefer that, there is no shame in that. You do what you need to do to take care of yourself. I want people to feel okay, and there is no shaming here about what people's approach is. The whole point is that you have the freedom to choose how you want to care for yourself. So if that's what works best for you, then you need to do what works best for you. it was not working for me. I went to see a naturopath and we decided to follow a program and taking natural supplements and changing my diet to do that. I also started therapy and started healing and stuff like that. And that road eventually became like it lessened my panic attacks and finally they went away. And it wasn't until I became sorry when like years much years like 12 years later or 11 years later that I learned that I was autistic, that a lot of those panic attacks that we're having are actually meltdowns that we're having because of the overwhelm and the sensory overwhelm, and so we kind of just like combust, spontaneous combust, and it's like this just like this kind of explosion of just like can it's almost like a breakdown kind of sorts, but your nervous system. And I mean, I know what's happening to our bodies during that time, but it was just an interesting thing to learn about that. Now, the natural things that I did, remember, I'm not giving any medical advice here, for myself, where we did supplements that help to, increase the things that you need naturally. The thing about supplements is that, and medications, because I do work in healthcare, I worked in healthcare my whole life. The thing about medications is that unfortunately, they may target something, but they will also offset other things. Whereas, like when you do supplements, the supplements generally are just targeting the one specific thing without having those different side effects. Not to say that supplements can't have side effects, but they're generally much less or not there, like the way medications have side effects. Unfortunately, that is one of the things that happen when you take medications. Now, the other aspect of this, which I learned after, like when I learned that I was autistic, is that many autistic people have what is called paradoxical effects to medications. And this is something very interesting because I knew that I had this. I didn't know what it was called. And now that I know why it's there, but I knew I had this for over 20, at least 20 years or more. I knew that I had this phenomena or whatever you want to call it that occurred to me. And it was when I would take certain medications, they wouldn't work for me. I would get weird reactions to them, or they would have the complete opposite effect for me, most especially for medications that were like pain relief or that were trying to make you go to sleep and things like that. For instance, things like NyQuil or, you know, any of those things that were to help you relax or sleep, or those were the worst ones. Things like even Tylenol 3s or I had to take oxycodone. Am I saying it right? Probably not. I don't take the medication. I had to take it one time because I tore my muscle, my rhomboid muscle. And it was just like a nightmare. And they have like these weird effects on me that don't that other people don't. Most of the population doesn't have. And this is this paradoxical effect. So the ones that help you go to sleep, for instance, they would make me stay awake all night, and I would be like wired and bouncing off the walls and very hyper and all these things. And so one time I opened up the leaflet, and it said rare side effects include sleeplessness and things like that. So the rare side effects of some of those medications, I guess, would be for the people who have those paradoxical effects, where something affects you differently. You get the opposite effect of what the medication should be. So me and medications and things in general never really kind of went well together. So I did a more natural approach for my care. So now the thing about anxiety and panic attacks is that it's a natural response that we are responding to sensory overwhelm. Now, this is something that in theory seems easy to control and to monitor and to adjust. But unfortunately, in a perfect world, in a perfect world, we would all be able to do this, but it's not a perfect world. And we have so many factors that exist that stop us from being able to do this. And what I mean by that is if you take the right supplements, you receive therapy, you get your sleep, you are not overwhelmed all the time, you can buy healthy, good foods for you and can cook all the things that you like that you know are good and feel good about yourself, which means you have reduced symptoms, you have much reduced anxiety and panic attacks and things like that. Your moods are more optimal and things like that. However, that's not how life works. And we have lovely capitalism and a very neurotypical world that keeps people stuck in programming. And so none of these things are benefiting us. Let's be real here. And for people who are autistic or neurodivergent, it's like a literal nightmare. And it's, you are, the average person might have to go through like some over some hurdles and hoops just to exist in life. And a neurodivergent has person or an autistic person has to go through like times 100 of those hurdles and hoops and things like that. And so when you're struggling and stuff like that, it's very hard to maintain those things. So for instance, if you're in burnout, which I am, you cannot um, you don't have the energy to prepare yourself the meals that you want to. And when you're in burnout, you tend to really gravitate more towards your safe foods. And those likely include very, very starchy, high sugary things, fried foods, french fries, pasta, or something very easy and something that will give you immediate like a pleasure, because that's what your body needs when you're in that state. Also, for many of us, we struggle financially because it's hard to exist in a world that is not set up to support us and our, I guess, our needs and things like that. And so if you don't have the money to purchase all these things that you need, because eating healthy is not for, everyone can say it's like, it's only for the, anyone could eat healthy, but that's not true. I remember when I was in university, we specifically took a course about this and about how, you know, the diet, specifically regarding diet and nutrition in impoverished areas and stuff like that, how it tends to be lower, higher obesity rates and things like that because of added financial strain, stress, lower quality of foods and things like that, scarcity, availability of food and things like that. And this is true for people who struggle from not only from, are symptoms of autism, but also people who have mental health issues and things like that. This is very much for people under the any umbrella of mental health issues, of being able to have access to healthy foods and things like that, and then have access to therapy and things like that. Where I live right now, the going rate to see a psychotherapist, I think, is $145 plus HST tax, and so it's quite expensive. And if you don't have a job that has insurance that covers, private insurance to cover those types of things, having a therapist is very expensive. And, it's easy for people who have access to those things to say, you can do this, 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 this. But when you are not having access to that because of your finances, because you're in burnout, because you don't have the support from maybe people around you, or whatever those reasons are, it becomes harder for you to do that. So, since I've been in burnout and things like that, I definitely have started having panic attacks again and anxiety. And I went for a period where my anxiety and panic attacks went away completely. So, what have I done to help with that? One of the biggest things you need to do is to remove yourself, if you can, obviously you can't, from the things that are going to overwhelm you. And that means going to gatherings and things like that, as much as even the things that you like, because sensory overwhelm isn't just in things that you don't like. You can get overwhelmed from things that you like. So I have to be very mindful of the things that I'm, being involved in, and activities and things like that. Um, and just ensuring that you limit them, or limit, reduce, etc., whatever you need to. Reducing your caffeine intake, or completely stopping it, is going to be really important if you have anxiety or have panic attacks, because this is a problem, especially with I know this is a big thing with a lot of ADHD people, where they love their caffeine, and but they shouldn't drink it. I'm also like a caffeine person, but I'm really good at monitoring my caffeine intake. Um, and I only have it in the morning. I have 1 cup in the morning, and that's it, because I know that if I am in, you know, more overwhelm and I have more caffeine, then I will likely have a panic attack that night or the next day. So that's something to be mindful of. Make sure you sleep when you need to. Panic attacks come when you are in overwhelm. And so the to counteract that, the best thing to do is to sleep. It's to rest. If you can't, if you're not tired and you are unable to sleep, my advice to you is to sit in a room and lay down or sit in darkness and quiet, have no lights on or the smaller lights. Like I only have lamps on in my house. I don't put the big lights on ever unless I'm like doing a specific task that needs bright lights, like usually like cleaning. But otherwise, they are never on because we don't like the big lights. But I would say just shut them off completely and be in the dark or be have one small lamp and be in silence. Because to counteract the overwhelm, then you need to give yourself the time to fill that bucket again. And the only way to do that is through sleep and through silence. Sleep and silence, sleep and silence. Remember your I mean, if you have and self care, if you want to pamper yourself, maybe you can get massages or take a nice bath or do something that feels very comforting. Um, those types of things are really important. If you take natural supplements, I remember I always take my magnesium at night. That's very helpful. Also, like there's lemon balm tea, which is very calming in the evening, and all these different things that you can do to help to give yourself the rest. Essentially, you need to find ways to remove yourself from those things. The more we because you got to think of it as like those teeter totter things or the balance skills or whatever. So if you are constantly overwhelmed all the time, and sorry, this way it's tipping and it's tipping and tipping and tipping, and you're not sleeping enough, you're not getting enough rest, you're not alone enough, or all those things, then forget it. You're going to be like totally tipped over and you're going to be having panic attacks and anxiety like all the time. And so the only way to counteract that is to start tipping the scales the other way. And so that means you need to start putting into that bucket. And that bucket wants sleep, a lot of sleep. And if sleep is not something that you can do overnight, then take naps. Take as many naps as you can. I took a nap today when I came home from work because I was feeling run down. And this is the interesting thing. A lot of autistic people, when they have sensory overwhelm, are a lot of people who are very sensitive. When we have burnout or sensory overwhelm, we start to get flu like symptoms and we start to feel like we are sick and that we're getting sick. And it's not, we're not actually, we don't have any kind of sickness or virus, but our body starts to act that way and we feel like we're sick. And so just be mindful of that because just getting in some naps and stuff and will really help you. Because I took a nap as soon as I got home from work because I was just like, I can't function right now. I'm very overwhelmed. I received some news yesterday. I'm trying to process. I haven't processed it yet because I can't sit with it. But I am just sharing my knowledge with you on how to kind of how I got a handle on my anxiety and my panic attacks and stuff like that. So just putting into the bucket so that it can balance, so that it's better. And maybe you're never going to be able to balance it or at the moment enough, so it's like this. But you need to be able to like this all the time. You need to do it that way because your like cortisol levels are going to be through the roof and all these other things, and you want to bring yourself down to a grounded state. Obviously, meditation and breathing is very important. Hypnotherapy is excellent for that. I actually want to start a hypnotherapy group hypnotherapy for people who are for us autistic people to help bring ease and calm. If you that's something you're interested in, just comment below because I really want to get this started. And normally I charge like for the group hypno, it's usually about $25. But I was gonna do like a pay what you can or like just $5 or something Canadian, just so that so it's accessible and so that people can come um, and to take advantage of this because it is very 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 effective and it works wonderfully. And the more hypnotherapy you do, the more it relaxes your senses in your nervous system, and it's such a beautiful relaxing sensation. So that is something I definitely am interested in doing and offering. If that's something you're interested in, then do comment below because I just need to know that people are interested in it, because right now when I do my hypnotherapy, I do it because I offer hypnotherapy for changing your patterns, for confidence, and various other things. I mean, obviously, if you're interested in any of those, you can visit my website to check that out. Otherwise, this is something that is more dear to my heart, to start like a group like that, and just do like a kind of a support group, and um, and offer it for people who are autistic, because I think it would benefit people so much. It is so wonderful. And like I said, it would be a very nominal fee, just to help, even to support me, and having to find a new place to live. So, um, yeah, that's it. So taking care of your spirit is important, and it helps to reduce your anxiety and your panic attacks. Ensuring that you, if you're around people who are going to make you activated all the time, this is going to be like really bad for your, like, this is why my panic attacks started, and before it was because of, both times it was because of situations with people, and really bad last time with my ex. But when you feel that overwhelm and stuff, if you're in situations that you cannot at the moment, get out of those situations, then my advice to you is to find places, little pockets of places where you can create your own peace. Uh, Headphones, meditation, um, join online support groups. There's tons. I joined a bunch when I was still in my abusive relationship, and exiting from that when I felt really alone. Those are all kinds of things that you can do. If you're interested in that, I do have a highly sensitive, um, it's like a Facebook group for highly sensitive people, like a support group kind of thing. And there's no fee for that to join or anything. Just let me know. And if you want to join that, I should probably put a link in the comment. I'll put a link to it and think if anyone's interested in that. It's not super, super active right now, but I think I will start making it more active because I think people need support. So that is it. That's all you have to do. Make it easy. It's not all you have to do, but like I said, it's a struggle when you're feeling anxious and having panic attacks all the time. This is the route that I went. I went a more holistic way, and that was helpful to me. And it is what works for me, and it doesn't offset anything else, and it just feels the best for me. And right now, I'm in the process of just learning how to make myself rest. That's a big one, since we're taught to be, that we assign our value and our worth to our productivity and things like that, especially for people who have been high masking, like myself and many other people that are watching. You probably were someone who were, maybe you excelled a lot in things like that, was like me, where I constantly had my plate full, and I was constantly doing like numerous things and just pumping out things, and having two jobs, going to school, university, and college, and doing all this, and I could go all the time. And so now that I'm in burnout and I can't do all those things, there's a lot of shame attached to when you're just sitting doing nothing, because society thinks you're useless, but you're not. And don't let them tell you that, okay? Because no, honestly, you're not useless. You are wonderful, and you are allowed to rest. You are entitled to rest. You're entitled to peace. You are entitled to self care and all of those things. So don't feel bad about those things. Sleep, take 20 naps if you have to. I know that things need to get done, but one of the things I had to let go of is shaming myself into leaving the dishes in the sink for like a week or two. Unfortunately, like when you're in the worst burnout and you can't do anything and you need to rest, I had to, growing up Italian and all things, people like thinking, judging you on all these external things. I'm pretty sure it's not just an Italian thing, but, you know, I really would feel like terrible shame around like leaving that many like dirty dishes in my sink. But I got to a point where like I had to prioritize my mental health, my body, my rest, and all that type of stuff. And so now I don't feel bad. It is what it is, and it's someone else's problem if they're ashamed. If they have a problem with that, that's someone else's problem. And must be nice to live in a world where that is something that concerns you. But in my world, that is the least of my concerns. So rest, This is me giving you permission to rest and to do nothing and to relax and to sleep and to sit in quiet, to take longer deep breaths, to prioritize your peace, to disconnect from people who don't bring you peace, to disconnect from the news and social media if you have to unfollow people who make you feel activated and agitated. And this is just me telling you that you have full permission to do all of those things and that you are not to feel shameful or bad about any of that. All right, so that's pretty much like a rundown of what I do for my anxiety and my panic attacks. And for the most part, it's okay. When I am in a panic attack, now I've learned to talk myself through it. My sister taught me this excellent thing. I forget what it's called, where you put your hands or your face in an ice cold bath. So if you can just fill your sink with water or a bowl of water, put some ice in there, or just put the tap really cold, and then you just put your hands in the water. And it's that like kind of shock to the system that kind of helps you to bring you out of that panic attack. So I've been using that. It's been very helpful for me when I'm in the middle of a panic attack. And obviously, I do love my lavender essential oils for that. It's very soothing and calming, and listening to healing frequencies and binaural beats. There's plenty of them here on YouTube that you can like look up for anxiety. And like I said, talking yourself out of it, affirming that you are safe. I'm safe and everything is okay, and I'm safe and everything is okay. It's very important, and all those types of things. I like to put my hands on the tiles, like the wall, because they're nice and cool, and I just do like breathing and stuff like that. So, anyways, I hope this was helpful and that it kind of like gave you an idea of like various things that you can kind of do and to take care of yourself, and let you know that you have permission to rest and sleep. And if you're interested in the hypnotherapy to calm your senses and your nervous system, let me know in the comments below or email me. I'll put all the information below. This is a very long video. I apologize. I hope you're having a very beautiful day. Happy September. This is my birthday month, so happy birthday to all September people, by the way. My birthday's in September 15th, so that is in, can I count here? 11 days. In 11 days. Yes. Okay, so take care. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.